Well, I like to describe it as, well, if you take a channel, it's a clear line between, being a clear line between here and there. And the messages come in when you're clear. And by meditating, you become clear.
So you meditated, and all of a sudden, you're lying in bed, and all of a sudden you hear something?
Well, I wasn't lying in bed. I was sitting up doing the exercise, and I heard it. And I told my wife about it. I didn't believe it. Oh.
Did you write then?
No, I didn't write at the time.
Okay.
I didn't write at the time because that's what started me. You're talking about the writing, yes. This was part of the path, and from the name Archangel Michael, I went to a psychic fair, which I encouraged everyone to go to psychic fairs. You can get an education, there are the lectures, and if you have never had a reading, you can get a reading for a nominal fee, $20, and you can understand what it's all about. And then we met someone at the fair who there was a connection with Archangel Michael. They had psychic development classes. So we started taking the development classes, and part of the development class was to write, and that's where we're going, right, with this, to the writing.
At this point, before you move any further, where did your fear go?
It was still there, but it was lessened because I had already had the fear was gone, but the questioning took its place. I want to say, well, how is all this possible? So I was too preoccupied with questioning, but the comfort was there that I in my heart, I knew my loved ones, all my loved ones, were in a comfortable place.
How is your relationship with God now at this point?
Oh, much, much better. Oh, gee, because now we're on a one-on-one basis. I don't fear him because, see...
What have you learned about God?
What have I learned about God? He's a loving God, and I was raised that he was a vengeful God, that if you don't do this, you're going to get punished. But he lets us make our mistakes. He lets us make our errors, but we always come back to him. We have free choice. We can go this way today and that way tomorrow.
Lessons to learn.
Lessons to learn.
And we're allowed to make mistakes.
And we're allowed to make mistakes, because every mistake is an experience.
He'll still love us.
Still love us. Interesting. No father would not love his child. Just like whatever my son was, he was our child, and we loved him. We couldn't love him any less.
What would you say to parents today who have children either who have AIDS or terminal illness?
AIDS has a stigma attached to it because of society and basically religion. It's something that happens, and when I don't want to get into it today in this program, but sometime by soul choice, but you really have to get into the philosophy to understand soul choice. But it happens. Could you love anyone less if they had a cancer or leukemia or whatever, fatal liver disease? No, it's a disease. And if you love them, you love them unconditionally. We loved our child unconditionally. And with that, our love grew with his passing, because then we realized how important he was to us. So we did love him unconditionally.
Could I read what you wrote?
Well, just let me explain what happened in part of the psychic development class. And I encourage everyone to take psychic development classes. Find out who you're taking them with first. They must be reputable. And we talk about cleansing and clearing and releasing. Part of the psychic development class incorporated writing a letter to release your anger, release your fear, release your pain. And Diane is going to read the letter, because if I read it, I'd end up crying anyway.
But before I read it, so what should be explained is that in doing meditation, in going to psychic classes, and coming to your club, what it all comes down to...
The club wasn't formed when the letter was written.
It was after that.
This was the opening of my psychic development, because once this letter was written, I was healed, I was cleansed, I was released all the anger, the judgment, that I was holding in there. And you cannot become truly a good psychic or be psychic, being body, mind, and spirit, until you release all this hostility and anger. So once this letter was written, almost immediately,
you were open.
Everything happened. My whole life started to change.
Because I think the walls...
It just flushed out. Okay.
And that's what opening up is.
That's what opening up is. It's a healing process. Letting go.
Getting rid of the mask, getting rid of the walls, everything that puts the barriers from you and God and the people around you.
Right.
Dear Richard,
this is the letter that I wrote in this class, just so you know what it is. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Dear Richard, being your son that passed, it has been 2 years since your passing, and your mother and I still find it hard to believe that you are gone. Your room is still your room, with your Snoopy collection still on the shelf. We still suffer our guilt trips, the what-ifs, maybe we should-haves, and the if-onlys. We don't judge your choice of lifestyle anymore. We thought it was our fault you were gay, but now we realize you didn't have much to say about it either. From early in your short 29 years on this earth, I guess we always knew you were different. No, not different, special. You were more loving, more caring, more sensitive, and more creative than the other children around you. I guess when you sensed your uniqueness, you tried to spare us the embarrassment of what friends and family might say. You did everything possible to make us proud of you, from Little League to your prom night. For years you suppressed your talent for dancing and dress design and only had the opportunity to show them at Halloween. You were afraid we might not love you if you came right out and told us you were gay, but you threw subtle hints, like inviting us to you when you worked that summer in Provincetown. You wanted to be an actor, but you conformed to our wishes by taking a 9-to-5 job. When you finally came out, you took an apartment with your lover, Doug. We were upset, not because we disapproved of your lifestyle, but because it involved using drugs. You spent your 27th birthday in the hospital with pneumocystic pneumonia. We were ignorant of what this meant, and you and Doug did a good job of concealing it from us. Again, you lived a lie so as to spare us the pain and worry of the inevitable. The next 2 years were hell for you. People today are so damn worried if gays have enough courage to face combat in the armed forces. I say it takes more courage to face the pain of aching bones, the burning fevers, the blood transfusions, and the certainty of death brought on by all the other complications of AIDS. You watched your friends drop like flies and never knew if each trip to the hospital was your last till finally it was. You didn't want to leave us and found it hard to stay. We wanted you to stay, but forgive us. We prayed that you wouldn't have to suffer any longer. I thank God we were able to hug and kiss long before those final hours you spent in a coma. When you left, a part of us went with you, but a part of you is always in our heart. Love, Dad. I really believe it would take hours to share the transformation that you've gone through, a parent losing a child, but it's so beautiful. I don't know how in a short time to capture what has happened to you so that you can help those out there, give them hope. What could you say? Besides opening up, what does it do inside you to open up and have this faith?
Well, it gives you courage to face life. I mean, when you lose someone that was part of your life, you're empty. And you want to go on, and you find it difficult to do. And I get phone calls from people who watch the program who have lost loved ones, some who have lost loved ones through AIDS. And they don't know how to deal with it because they don't believe that they're all right. And that, to me, that was the main thing. And they feel they're in pain. And through psychics such as yourself and through writings that I have received at a later date, they are fine. I don't like to say they're happy because they're not here. They're happy where they are, and they are with us all the time. And
what is death to you now?
Now, death is growing because you transcend. These are words that people are not familiar with. You know,
it's not final.
It's not final. No, you go from here. It's almost like now my son, to me, really, is like he's in California or Europe. I don't see him as often as I'd like, but I know he's there, and he's all right.
And he speaks to you.
He does speak to me. We do have communications, either through people like yourself or excellent mediums, and myself personally. At this time, I've learned to channel, so I do get messages from him.
Talk about your skills now, because I asked you before what you would think of a psychic. Now I'm going to ask you, how does it feel to be psychic?